Today I'm going to discuss how to quickly, safely, and hopefully easily hook up a standard travel trailer. Since I store the trailer fairly level, the first step is going to be raising the tongue to be able to get up and over the hitch. Now if the tow vehicle is close enough, open the latch so it's ready to receive the ball, and then raise the jack so that it can receive the ball. If you don't have a rear hitch camera, a good trick is to get 2 magnetic retriever sticks from the dollar store and put one on your ball and one on the receiver. Then, looking into your rear view mirror, which is already on the center line of your tow vehicle, simply back up keeping the 2 sticks aligned until the stick on your ball gets knocked over by the hitch. This should put you underneath the receiver and ready to simply drop it on. And then lower the receiver down to the ball. Only lower the receiver until it first begins to engage the ball. Do not put the weight all the way on the truck because that will make it more difficult to load the spring bars. Before you can mount the spring bars, it's necessary to drop the tip-ups, which the chains will attach to. I use a spring cotter pin because the little square pins that frequently come with these tip-ups tend to vibrate out in travel. Although this is what comes from the factory, it's extremely easy for this pin to fall out. A spring-loaded cotter pin cannot just fall out on its own. It has to actually be pulled. The spring bars go on with the hooked end at the rear facing downward. The spring bar mounts by tipping the base into the head of the hitch. Note that the spring is held against the bumper before swinging into place. Once it rotates to the rear, the head of the spring bar is locked in. Your spring bar chains may be permanently connected to the end of the spring bar. Since I have a cam bar system on mine, it's connected to the cam bar instead, and I will simply put the hook over the cam. Hook the chain onto the tip-up and then press it into place. If you have proper tension on the spring, you will require a tension bar in order to flip the tip-up. Once it's up, it locks itself into place, but don't trust the spring tension. Put the cotter pin back into the hole that locks it in place. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Remember that we did not put any weight on the hitch yet. This was so that we could cock the spring bars with a minimum of effort. Now that the spring bars are connected, we can lower the jack and actually put the tongue weight onto the ball. The jack does not need to be retracted entirely. It only has to be lifted enough that it's well above the spring bars. It is absolutely critical, however, that the jack be lifted enough that it can never ever hit the pavement. If it were to hit the pavement, it could lift the trailer right off the hitch bowl. Now that the hitch is on the ball, close the receiver. You should always have some sort of pin through the hole so that it cannot randomly open while driving. I use a padlock to make sure that no one vandalizes the hitch while towing or while camping. I similarly use a fully locking hitch pin to prevent anyone from stealing the hitch head or vandalizing it. Unfortunately, some people think it's hilarious to pull out the pin and watch chaos ensue when your trailer drops off your truck. Next, we connect the safety breakaway chains. These ensure that if the hitch was to fail and come off the receiver, the trailer would not take off down the highway without you. It keeps you attached to the trailer where you can very carefully brake, even with the nose of the trailer dragging on the ground. To correctly use the safety chains, the left one is connected to the right side and the right one is connected to the left side, crossing underneath the receiver. Next, we'll connect the electric connection for the running lights and electric brakes. Generally, the square key goes up and the fins go horizontal. Plug in the 7-wire connection and let the door close, which locks it in place. It cannot now be pulled out very easily. Finally, we're going to connect a very important safety device, the emergency brake activator. Do not leave this cable disconnected. Sometimes it's red like mine, sometimes it's silver like this one. I carry a spare on the tongue because it is that critical. If it were left disconnected as it is now and the trailer came disattached, nothing at all would stop the trailer from going down the highway and causing chaos. The purpose of this cable is to be yanked out of an electric switch here, which activates the electric brakes on the trailer instantly. If the trailer ever separated from the tow vehicle, it should turn on the brakes on the trailer automatically even though it's not connected to the truck anymore. If your cable simply ends in a loop, put a carabiner on it. The carabiner is a very important piece of the safety of this cable. If you were to connect the loop of cable directly to any part of the tow vehicle, abrasion would very quickly cut the cable, making it completely inoperable. The carabiner gives it a wear surface so that it does not cut the cable. Also, the length of the cable should be sufficient that the vehicles can turn against one another without dragging the cable on the ground and without ripping the cable out and activating the brakes by accident. If the cable drags on the ground, your cable is too long. Another solution is to simply use a coiled cable like this one, which provides extra tension to keep the cable off the ground, even while giving extra length. I can now jackknife my trailer completely without activating the emergency brake, but if it ever pulled out, the extra distance between the tow vehicle and the trailer would still activate the brakes. It does not need to be tight, it just has to be sufficient that when they're separated, it pulls it out. There is sometimes confusion as to where to attach the carabiner for the emergency activator. It must be connected to the tow vehicle and only the tow vehicle. It should not be connected to the hitch or any part of the trailer. As such, connecting it to the trailer here is wrong. It would do absolutely nothing as it would travel with the trailer. Connecting it to the ball here is wrong because frequently this hitch is what's going to fail when the hitch pin lets go. Again, it would do absolutely nothing. The correct place, and only correct place, is to go to the tow vehicle itself, to some section that can absolutely not be removed from the tow vehicle, such as the built-in hitch here. If not connected to the Class 3 or 5 hitch assembly, I could use any hole through my bumper originally meant for the tow ball that I'm not using. Speaking about the routing of the cable for a moment, the cable must be suspended in midair. It should not be allowed to go anywhere that it could pinch, such as riding between here. If it rode here, as we turn, it's going to slowly grind that cable and again cut it, making it completely inoperable. The cable must always be in a protected position, such as here, where it cannot get into anything that would pinch it or cut it. At this point, my hitching would be complete, but yours may not be. Because I have cam lock bars like this, sway control is already built into my balance bars. However, yours may not be. You may have anti-sway control that relies on friction, using this little ball here, and another ball that's usually mounted on the trailer here. There will simply be a brake pad type material that connects the two. Snap each one onto the appropriate balls, and tighten down the brake until it has good friction. You will need to adjust the tension on that sway control in order to be able to turn easily, but not create sway in high winds. Before happily rolling away, stop and think of all the other things you've most likely forgot before departing. Make sure your storage compartments are closed. Make sure any leveling jacks are up. Make sure the entry stairs are up and folded. You may want to lock your doors. Make sure you've removed all chocks from the wheels and stowed them appropriately. Make sure you've disconnected your water from shore water. Make sure you've retracted your power cord and stowed it appropriately. Make sure the external shower is closed and locked. Make sure all of your roof vents are closed and that your TV antenna is down. After doing a full walk around of your trailer, it doesn't hurt to do a second full walk around of your trailer just to make sure that you really did get everything. This has been GyroGearloose with RV Hacking on the Cheap. We hope this video has been informative. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for any future updates. And of course, as always, feel free to send me any questions you may have or videos you would like to see produced.